Hello everyone, James Wilson here, and today we're going to talk about my 2024 presidential election prediction. It's been long coming here. I know Red Eagle Politics did one, had Trump winning by 2 electoral votes. He got exactly to 270 based on his opinion, and I'm going to go ahead and give you my take on it. There's a lot of things that you have to understand, and a lot of it is based on what happened in the midterms. Okay, there's some facts that I want you to know. Is that when a Democrat is in office in the last 3 midterms, the last midterm was the worst for Republicans. Okay, 1994 and 2010 were solid as a rock for Republicans, but in 2022, when the approval rating for Joe Biden was probably in the high 30s to low 40s, you actually saw the Senate. You saw the Senate race actually improved for Democrats. So I have to, when I make a prediction like that, I do have to take that into consideration, and the states that are involved, also governorships and that kind of deal. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. We'll go with the obvious states that are, Republican and Democrat. We all know that these states will not change at all. And the blue states and red states will not change. Kansas could get interesting, but I think it's going to go Republican. And let's see. I'm going through all the states here to mark them. And I'll even mark Virginia. Okay. Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York is Democrat. Democrat. Actually, technically, Maine isn't solid Democrat, but pretty close to Democrat. D.C. obviously is Democrat. All these states are Democrat. Okay. So these are the states that are kind of like, maybe they could go either way. I do think that Virginia is going to be Democrat. Okay. I know Youngkin won in 2021, but that was an extremely low voter turnout. And then when you look at Maine's 2nd district, I do think that Trump would win that, but not the state at large. Okay. New Hampshire, we'll go Democrat. I'm not gonna predict a Republican to win that state. Okay, so now you have these states here. I think with Florida going to the right and Texas being solid for Abbott, and of course Florida being solid for DeSantis, they're both going to go Republican. Okay, and then the state of Iowa, I predict that would go Republican, as well as Ohio. Even though Ohio trended to the left just a tad, I still think that's going to hold for Republicans. Okay. Now let's talk about these states here, because we're getting in, we're tightening up here. First, we'll talk about Michigan. I felt that the Republican candidate was a solid candidate for governor. I felt that Gretchen Whitmer was a tyrant during the COVID times. She even went out with her husband doing their thing and not obeying their own laws that they created, act more dictatorship than anything, and she won by about 9 points. Michigan is done. Okay, I can't believe she won, especially by that margin. It doesn't make logical sense, but most people are not logical. That turned blue. Okay, so let's move on to North Carolina. The Republican did win North Carolina. Trump won it last time. It could go either way. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Donald Trump. I think he'll win North Carolina. And we're going to move on here to the state of Arizona. Now, Arizona was interesting, to say the least. You had Carrie Lake, who talked about the issues, who was upfront with the issues, and she went against a rock who didn't do anything. Nothing. Nada. She didn't do anything, and she lost. So if she's going against someone that doesn't do anything, what makes you think Trump's going to win the state? He's going to lose the state. If it doesn't matter in this situation, it doesn't matter how great the Republican candidate's going to be. If you can't beat someone that doesn't do anything, it's impossible to win, folks. In the state of Nebraska 2nd District, I'm going to go ahead and give that to the Democrats because it's in a heavy populated city area. Now, you got these 4 states left. Now, what does these 4 states have in common, folks? Well, these 4 states is where Red Eagle Politics and myself disagree on. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and explain why I disagree. In the state of Pennsylvania, you had pretty much a retarded person win the Senate race, okay? He had a stroke, he couldn't debate, a doctor, and he still won. So if you have someone like that who's inept, who can't even be in the Senate, doesn't have the capacity, the brain capacity, and still wins, then the Democrats automatically going to win. I mean, it's pointless to even say that Trump's going to win the state of Pennsylvania when you have a guy like John Fetterman, who's had a stroke, who had a poor debate performance against a doctor who tried to be, realistic and trying to, go reach across the aisle a little bit. I thought he was a pretty decent candidate, but he was definitely much smarter than Fetterman. But if you have a guy who doesn't know what's going on then there's no way Trump can beat Biden in the state. The state is done, okay? And we're going to move on to the state of Georgia. Now, the state of Georgia, Red Eagle Politics had Trump losing the state. Let's talk about it from a logical perspective. In the midterms, you had Kemp winning by a big margin. It actually trended to the right compared to before when he went against Stacey Abrams the first time. And you also have a guy, Herschel Walker, who in my opinion was not a really good candidate. He was a poor candidate, and he was able to go to a runoff and lose by maybe a point or two. And so, Trump can win by a point or two. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think that Georgia will go Republican and will go for Donald Trump based on the midterm results. When you have a guy like Herschel Walker that almost actually won, probably the worst candidate on the Republican side for Senate, when he almost won, and then you have a governor that won by 7 points, you would think that Trump could win by at least a point or two. So I'm going to go ahead and give that to the Republicans. So the next you have these 2 states, Wisconsin and Nevada. Wisconsin, the governor won, and the governor's Evers is not very good, and he still end up winning. I don't think that based on that information in the Senate race, a Republican barely won, and it actually trended to the left when it came to the Senate race. So in that situation, I don't see Trump winning Wisconsin either. And so now you see Biden actually winning the election, okay? And so the next state is Nevada. Nevada could be a pure toss-up. I think North Carolina, Georgia, and Nevada are the pure toss-up states, in my opinion. The governor lost, Sisolak lost to Lombardo in a very, very close race. I mean, it was too close for comfort. Sisolak is not a very good governor. And so to see him lose by very, very slim margins is a little bit eye-opening. It should have been, I mean, all these governor races that the Democrats ran, they all should have pretty much lost. Maybe with the exception of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, you had a guy who didn't run a good campaign in the Republican side, and the Democrat side is actually halfway intelligent. So I can see the Democrat governor winning Pennsylvania, but Michigan, I think Tudor Dixon was a way better candidate. And the other lady, Whitner, was a tyrant, okay? And so logically speaking, the Republicans should have won that, but they didn't. And Wisconsin, you had the same, you had Evers, which is, I don't think he's that great of a governor, but somehow he won. And then you have, Arizona, where Kerry Lake couldn't beat a rock. Then you have Lombardo barely beating out Sisolak. But then in the Senate race, which you have the Democrat beating, was it Lexart? And he never wins anything. So this could go either way, honestly. I mean, I could see Trump winning the state. But what makes me a little hesitant about it is because it's the mail-ins. They do mail-in voting. And, Joe Holder, the mail-in voter, will vote whatever the media tells him to vote for. So in that situation, the media goes for Joe Biden. And I'm going to go ahead and say that Nevada will vote for Joe Biden. Also, in the state of Nevada, you can have lots and lots of ballot harvesting due to the mail-in process. And I think that's going to go the same for all of the Democratic-controlled states. They don't want Trump to win their state, like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. They're all ran by Democrats. Now Arizona's also ran by Democrats. As you see, there's the trend there. These states are all ran by Democrats, okay? And when you couple that with Nevada, that's ran, even though a Republican is technically winning the state, it's all on the mail-ins, and so it's close enough anyways. So when you add the mail-in ballots, that's going to go turn blue. Virginia I found interesting, but if Trump's running, I don't think he's going to choose Youngkin, and I just don't think he can win even with Youngkin on the ticket. North Carolina, that's going to stay red. I mean, I think the Senate, it was going to be close. It is a toss-up, just like Georgia. North Carolina, Georgia, Nevada, I think are the most toss-up states. But yeah, I mean, the Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, I mean, it was a joke, folks. It was an absolute joke. So, in that situation, it's over. It's over, folks. So that's why I disagree with Red Eagle politics. I know Georgia could go blue in the future, absolutely. And Trump could lose that state. But I think based on the numbers and the midterms and everything, I think he'll win Georgia. And I think since Georgia does have a Republican governor, I think they're getting rid of all that mail-in crap, garbage. And I think Trump's going to win that state. But it's not really necessarily who shows up to vote. It's how you vote now. And as I said in all previous other videos, the Democrat governors is not going to let Trump win the state, okay? It's not. They're not going to let Trump win the state. So let me know what you think of it. I have it at 287 to 251 in favor of Joe Biden. The only state that changed in this situation was Georgia. I have Georgia was blue, switched to red. Like and subscribe to my channel. Any comments would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Bye-bye.